Perfect. So I take it that you can all see my screen. And so first of all, before we get started, I would like to thank you both and all for being part of our webinar today. Very happy to see you here. This is our first webinar of the season. So we've took a little break and we've tried new formats. And so we hope that it gets to answer more of your questions and cover more of any curiosities you have for email marketing. So first of all, I'm Selma. I'm the products expert at CakeMail. So if you ever have any questions or ask our support, I'm most likely the person you're talking with and who's answering all of your questions. So right off the bat, I take it that you've all created accounts with CakeMail. This would be the dashboard right as you log in. So this would be the dashboard with many elements that give you somewhat of an idea about how your audience is doing. When I say audience, I mean your contacts. That's the people who would subscribe to your newsletter, who ask to receive it, who are part of your contact list. So this little overview dashboard allows you to get an idea of your main KPIs that you might want to look at, like how many emails you've been sending, how many percentage of your audience has been opening them, and so on. Now, I understand right off the bat that might be a little bit much. We're gonna touch base on that later, but this is just to give you a quick little idea of what it is that you're seeing right as you log in. So as you log in, first thing you're gonna be seeing is your dashboard. If you're a newbie like me, I've just created my account for today's webinar, you're gonna see this little widget on the bottom right of your screen. Now, your little widget essentially just gives you a step-by-step of what you want to follow in order to properly set up your account. So when you set up your account, there are a few things that you want to look at first. This is a nice little guide. It really takes you over all of the steps that really matters, how to create your email, how to add contacts, and so on. But today we're doing it together just for the fun of it. So if any of you has already created their account, you know that the first step that is required is that you add your name, your profile, the name of your organization, and so on, but also your brand. Now, what is that really, and why would you add your brand to your account? Your brand settings essentially allow you to personalize your account without having to do it manually each time. So if you're creating campaigns, if you're sending newsletters to your audience, you don't always want to add your colors, you don't always want to add your logos, and this is precisely why you use your brand section. The brand section essentially allows you to add elements of your brand into your account. So when you create a campaign for the future, then you already have your logo and your colors populated in the campaign. For example, all I had to do is click brand, and it's taken me to this little page with confirmation pages, opt-in emails, and smart templates. Now, I know this might be a little foreign as we're getting started, but we'll go over it. If not this time, then in our future webinars. So confirmation pages are the pages your contacts land on as they subscribe to your newsletter. Say, for example, someone has stumbled upon your website, you have a form people can subscribe through. They're going to receive a confirmation that they have been subscribed to your account. This subscription page is going to include your logo, it's going to include your colors, and it's all done automatically, so you don't have to do it manually each time. For example, for the logo, I've added my little logo, which I'm going to walk you through. It's beautifully beautiful. It's a little brew company that I've created. It's a little passion of mine. But essentially what I did is that I've added my logo as a banner, which just click here and upload new image. When you do that, you can simply browse through all of your files, all of your folder in your laptop, computer, or anything you might be using, and simply import your logo straight onto this little section. You have also different elements that you can look at, like your text color, your button color, and these are all elements that can be perfectly adjusted to your brand. So all you have to do for colors, if I want a different headline color, I could just click on Add New Color and either select it manually, or I could also type in my reference. So if you have a Pantone, if you have a color code that you can add, simply copy and paste it, and it's automatically going to be added onto your color choice, your color palettes. For example, I would like my headline colors to be this little greenish color, so I'm just going to select this one. I can adjust the color of my paragraphs, the color of my buttons, or even my background. And once you're happy with it, if you want to get a glimpse of what that looks like, you simply have to click Preview. Now, you don't have to do this for each and every single one of them, because as soon as you add your elements to a confirmation page, they're automatically added to the other columns as well. So your opt-in emails and your smart templates, which is a very cool feature we're going to be looking at in just a second. So once we're happy with it, we just need to click Publish. Publish, that means that your changes are being saved and that they're being added to your account. So once I'm happy with it, which I am, I can click Exit. Now that I've exited it, I'm back to my dashboard. Now that I have my brand set up, I can move on to my next step. So these are all things you want to do before you start creating your campaign, because it gives you a base that you can work on. Usually what you would do is you would first add your brand, and then you would add your domain. So some of you might have domains. I hope you do. Domains are essentially, for example, your website. It's the name of your company, the name of your brand, anything that tells us who you are as a sender. And so since last year, there have been a few updates, major updates on a lot of emailing services, for example, Google, Gmail, and Yahoo, where now if you want to be sending to a bigger audience, you need to have an authenticated domain. What does that mean? This simply means that you have to have some policies in place to show us that you are a legitimate domain and a legitimate sender. Now, I understand that this might be a little confusing if you're not necessarily a tech person. I know I was very confused at first, but all you have to do is go into senders. That's where you can add your domain. As you can see, I already have a domain. That's katemail.com. It shows up as blue, which tells me that this domain is authenticated. This means, realistically, what this means is that when I send out my campaigns to my contacts, it does not end up in the spam. It ends up in their main inbox, which is a huge issue with email delivery. You want your audience to be able to receive your content. You want them to be able to see it, to open it, and interact with it. And unfortunately, if you do not have an authenticated domain, that most likely means that it ends up in the spam and it's not getting the exposure you would want it to. But here with CakeMail, we want to fix it. So all I have to do is click on Add Sender. Now, my sender is going to be the address, the email address that I use to interact with my community. So that could be anything. In my case, I'm just going to add my fresh new domain, which is hellobeautifullyyours.com. And I can give it a name. And my name would be Beautifully Yours. You can set up a language for your domain, either English, French, or Spanish, depending on your liking. And once you're sure that this is what you want to add, this is the address I want to be talking to my contacts with. That would be hello@beautifullyyours.com. I can click continue, and it's going to create the sender. It's also going to send a confirmation email. So this happens in two steps. First, you add your sender, as you can see. And then a confirmation email is sent to the address. This is to make sure that whoever is using this address is a legitimate person. No one is impersonating you. No one is stealing your identity. This is you, and you want to use it to interact with your contacts. Now, what happens is, as you can see, this is blue, which tells me it is authenticated and it's good to go. But this one is orange, and that tells me this domain is not authenticated yet. What you can do is click on Authenticate Domain, and this will give you a detailed step-by-step instructions that you can share with your web host, your webmaster, or even yourself. So if you have access to your DNS records, for example, GoDaddy, cPanel, or any of the sorts, you simply have to copy the instructions and send them to your admin. So if anyone is handling it for you, you simply have to forward these instructions to them. But if you want to do it yourself, you simply have to log on to your DNS platform and add the following elements, which, trust me, is not as hard as it sounds. It's quite easy. But if you ever have any questions, we do have a support team that's also always available to assist you with this and answer any of your questions. So once that's done, once it's properly authenticated, this will show as a check mark and not as an exclamation worrying mark. It's going to be green and it's going to be beautiful. So for example, if I do it with CakeMail, which is already authenticated, it's all verified and all good to go. This whole process takes about 10 minutes maximum from the moment you copy it and add them and for it to turn beautifully blue. So if you have any questions, you can always text our support. I'm going to be sharing our support email in the chat just so you can reach out to us if ever needed. So once that's done, this was the hardest part of your setup, by the way, comes the easier part, which is importing your contacts. So now that you have set up the base, which is your brand, you've set up your domain, you want to add your contacts. All you have to do is click on Import Contacts, and you will be given a choice. You can either import it as a CSV file if you have that on hand, or you could directly copy and paste it from a spreadsheet. Personally, that's my preferred way of doing it. No particular reason, so I'm just going to go with this today. So I'm going to start pasting from my spreadsheet. Now, all you have to do, go into your spreadsheet, copy, and then on the first line here, you can paste it. Now, these are essentially the columns that will constitute your list. Any column that you add will be referred to as an attribute and can be later on used for your campaigns, for your segmentation, and so on. These are all very fun topics we talk about in our next webinar, which is about list management. So once I'm sure that everything is pretty and beautiful, just how I like it, here I need to make sure that this is email, not email address. Date subscribed, okay, all good. I can click continue. I just have to confirm that I have full permission. This is very important criteria. This is a very important part of email marketing. You need to make sure that you have consent from all contacts that they actually want to receive your campaigns. This can be written, this can be a signature, this could be a subscription through your website or maybe through your social media. There just needs to be some kind of proof that whoever wanted to subscribe to you actually wanted it. Okay, so this is my mailing list. I've imported all of my contacts, all 15 of them, and I've added different criteria. This is how your list appears right off the bat. Say you want certain things to appear, you can just move around different items. I would like my first names to come first. So I'm just gonna click it and drag it to the top, and it's gonna appear over here. This is just to get a clearer view of the emails. You can browse through all of the columns that you've added. For example, I would like my city to be a little bit higher up so I can have a better idea of the regions. But this is globally what this would look like. So you have your emails, you have your first names, you have your city, you have the date that you added them to Cake Mail, you have their status, which tells you whether they're active, they're valid, invalid, unsubscribed, and so on. So again, I'm not going to go too deep. I don't want to ruin the next webinars for you, but this is your contact list. Your contact list allows you to do many, many things. It also allows you to create segments. A segment that could be based on any criteria. For example, since I'm a brewing company, to me, it's very important to know what roast my clients like. Do they prefer a dark, a light, a medium? What is it that they prefer? So I would like to create a segment based on this. All I have to do, as you can see, select my favorite roast, select my criteria, and then I can create my segment. And I could do that for literally any of the criterias that I have added onto the list, or any of the criterias that I might think of, like whoever opened my last email, whoever didn't open my last email. I want to send a reminder to, for example, all of my inactive contacts, just to make sure that they still want to be subscribed to me. But yeah, this is pretty much it for your list. We're gonna be diving a lot deeper in future webinars about how you can create segments, how you can populate different fields, how you can leverage really your list so you can get the most out of it with email marketing. Now, I think now that we have our list, now that we have everything set up, comes the very fun part of creating your campaign. So all you have to do is click create and go to campaigns. And this will automatically create a draft. Now, a draft is not final. This is what you work with to build your campaign and make sure that all details are like you want them to. Right off the bat, this is the campaign that's generated. It's our default draft that you can either work with or that you can change. So say you wanted to change it, you would just click on change template. And then you could pick out either from the professional templates that we offer completely free of charge, our free templates, or previous templates that you might have created and would like to reuse in the future. So in my case, I'm going to go with professional templates. Wait a second. Sorry, just looking through. I'm just going to return to the editor. I'm going to quickly update my brand. Oh. Oh, well. So I'm just going to go back to my drafts. All I had to do was go to campaign and go to draft. I can select my draft that I've just created a second ago, and I can change my template. I'm going to go with a smart template. Now, we've seen this earlier, but what is it really? A smart template is a template that's already based on your brand. So you don't have to really do anything. You just have to pick a template. You can use a filter, email designer, smart emails. And they will give you a range of free templates that you can use that are already adapted to your brand in colors, in logo, and so on. So right off the bat, I'm gonna start with this one. I can click continue, and this will take me to our editor. As you can see, it already has my little logo up top. It has my little green color. It has the colors that I've added. But the fun thing is that I can fully personalize it. I can change the text, I can update the background, I can update the images, and this all happens with our drag and drop editor. So our drag and drop editor is composed of different little contents. That's the things, the items you add onto your campaign. That could be an image, a title, a button. It could be anything. And this allows you to add all of your content. For example, I can add my social media accounts, so I can directly go into my Facebook, I can directly go into my Instagram. People would receive my campaign and they'll be like, oh yes, this is beautifully yours. But yeah, you can play around with it. We always recommend just really playing around, getting the feel of how the editor works. Again, we have other webinars coming up on this that are specifically oriented towards the editor and how you can make the most out of it, but also how to incorporate contents and items together. But if that's something that interests you, you can always subscribe and we'd be more than happy to have you. So tell us how we did. I'm happy with how it looks. I'm just gonna quickly click on save, which is a very important part. If you don't want to lose your progress, click on save. I'm gonna close this, and then I'm gonna be taken to our campaign details. Our campaign details allow us to personalize it a little further. That's where you add your subject line, which you can generate with AI. This is where you can also add the name of your company, your email address, the authenticated one that we've just created, as well as select the list you want to be sent into. So this is really how you set up or manage the settings of your campaign, when you want to send it, to who you want to send it, and what you want to name it. Once you're happy with it, you can just click send a test email just to see what that looks like.